Hey Reddit family, before we continue, show some love by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Now, back to the story. I chose not to follow my husband's family tradition, and now his mother is pushing him to divorce me. You know those moments that hit you like a punch to the gut, the ones that make you question absolutely everything? For me, it all started with a handmade quilt, a supposed family heirloom that became a weapon, threatening to unravel my career, my marriage, and even my very sense of self. When Devin finally got down on one knee, I was over the moon. But that joy, that pure happiness, was quickly overshadowed. His mother, Patricia, you know the type, she swooped in like a hawk, presenting me with this ancient, faded pattern book and a pristine bolt of fabric. It was the Thornwell family engagement quilt, a relic passed down for 6 generations, each stitch a testament to a woman's commitment. 847 individual stitches, taking most women 8 to 10 months. Patricia had done it. Her mother before her. Even Devin's ex-girlfriend had started one before they broke up, though she never finished it. "You'll start tomorrow," she declared, not even a question in her voice. A command. I was deep in my surgical residency, working 60, sometimes 70, hours a week. My free time was a precious, almost mythical 4 hours, barely enough to catch a fuse, scarf down some food, and maybe, just maybe, take a shower. The thought of adding 847 intricate stitches to that already impossible schedule? It felt like a sick joke. "I don't think I'll have time," I remember saying, my voice carefully neutral, trying to be polite. But her face, honey, it just froze. A mask of icy disapproval. "You'll make time," she snapped back. "Every Thornwell bride does." I tried. God, I really did. For 3 agonizing weeks, I'd sit with that fabric, stabbing my fingers until they bled, producing crooked, amateurish stitches that looked like a drunk spider had stumbled across the cloth. It was soul-crushing. Finally, I told Devin. I just couldn't do it. I loved him with all my heart, but I wasn't sacrificing my residency, my life's calling, for decorative bedding. He said he understood. We got married anyway, with Patricia glaring daggers from the front row, a silent promise of future battles. That was 2 years ago. Yesterday, I walked through my front door, utterly exhausted after a brutal shift, to find Devin's entire family sprawled across my living room. No warning. No text. Nothing. Just an ambush. His mother, Patricia, was perched in my favorite armchair, clutching that unfinished quilt like it was evidence in a trial. "This represents your commitment," she announced, her voice dripping with accusation. Or lack thereof. His father nodded grimly. His grandmother clutched her pearls like I'd personally insulted her lineage. In our family, the grandmother chimed in, her voice raspy, "A wife who won't complete the quilt doesn't respect tradition. Doesn't respect us." And Devin? My husband? He just stood by the window silent. I waited for him to defend me, to say something, anything. He didn't. Patricia, emboldened by his silence, continued, her voice practically purring with practiced disappointment. "I've told Devin he needs to reconsider this marriage. A woman who can't dedicate herself to something so simple clearly has misplaced priorities." Something inside me just snapped. A cold fury. "You want to know about dedication?" I said, my voice surprisingly quiet, dangerously so. "Last month, I held a 6-year-old's hand while she died because her parents were too busy arguing to notice she'd stopped breathing. I've worked 96-hour weeks. I've missed birthdays, holidays, sleep. But sure," I scoffed, the anger rising now, "the real measure of my worth is decorative stitching." Patricia stood up, her face a fiery red. "You think you're too important for family traditions, too educated? Too busy saving lives?" She spat those last words like they were the vilest insults imaginable. And still, Devin said nothing. Not one word in my defense. The quilt sat there between us, a symbol of their absurd demands, a battlefield. His family watched, waiting for me to apologize, to promise I'd finish it, to fall in line. Instead, I picked up that damned fabric. I walked into the kitchen, grabbed a pair of scissors, and with a precision I usually reserved for the operating room, I very deliberately cut it into pieces. The sound of ripping cloth in that silent house was deafening. When I returned, Patricia was shaking, a furious tremor running through her. That quilt was irreplaceable. The fabric was blessed by "I don't care." I cut her off, my voice raw with anger and defiance. "I'm a surgeon. I save lives. And if Devin values your sewing project more than our marriage, then maybe his mother's right." I walked upstairs, my heart hammering, to pack a bag. Behind me, I could hear Patricia's voice rising, demanding Devin choose. Family or me? Tradition or his wife? For the first time in 2 years, a chilling thought settled in my gut. I didn't know which one he'd pick. My phone buzzed. A text from my attending, Dr. Chin. "Emergency case. Triple bypass. Need you now." I grabbed my keys. Downstairs, their argument raged. Patricia's voice reached a crescendo. I paused at the bottom step. Devin finally looked at me, his face unreadable, a blank canvas of confusion and fear. "Where are you going?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "To do something that actually matters," I said, and walked out, leaving him standing there with his family and their shredded traditions scattered across our floor. I drove toward the hospital, my wedding ring feeling impossibly heavy on my finger, wondering if it would still be there when I got home. The triple bypass took 11 hours. The patient was a 58-year-old construction worker named Ray, whose 3 blocked arteries had given him maybe 2 weeks to live. His wife sat in the waiting room with their 4 kids, the youngest barely 7. I scrubbed in at 11:47 p.m. and didn't leave the OR until almost noon the next day. Dr. Chin, my attending, let me take the lead on the mammary artery graft. My hands were steady, even though I'd been awake for 31 hours straight. Even though my marriage might be ending, even though somewhere across town, my husband was choosing between me and a piece of fabric, none of that mattered when I had a scalpel in my hand. Ray's heart was a mess. Years of smoking, poor diet, untreated hypertension had turned it into a ticking bomb. But we bypassed all 3 blockages, restored blood flow, and closed him up with minimal complications. When his heart started beating on its own again, strong and steady, I felt that familiar rush, the one that made everything else worth it. Dr. Chin clapped my shoulder as we stripped off our gloves. "Beautiful work, Dr. Morrison. You have a gift." I thanked him, but my mind was already drifting. Morrison, my maiden name. I'd kept it professionally, but socially I was Dr. Thornwell now. Or was I? I checked my phone in the locker room. 17 missed calls. 12 from Devin. 5 from Patricia. 34 text messages I didn't have the energy to read. Then 1 from my best friend, Rachel. "Are you okay? Devin called me looking for you. Says it's urgent." I texted back. "Just finished surgery. Patient stable. I'm fine." She replied immediately. "That's not what I asked." I drove home at 1 p.m., still in my scrubs, smelling like antiseptic and exhaustion. Our driveway was empty. Devin's car was gone. I unlocked the front door and stepped into silence. The shredded quilt pieces were gone. The living room looked untouched, like yesterday's confrontation had never happened. For a moment, I wondered if I'd imagined the whole thing. Some stress-induced hallucination brought on by sleep deprivation. Then I saw the note on the kitchen counter. Devin's handwriting. Neat, careful letters I'd once found charming. "I'm at my parents' house. We need to talk. Call me when you get this." Not "I love you." Not "I'm sorry." Just instructions to call him. I crumpled the note and tossed it in the trash. Then I pulled it back out, smoothed it flat, and stared at it for 10 minutes, my mind a whirlpool of anger and hurt. Finally I called. He answered on the first ring. "Where have you been?" "Surgery," I said, my voice flat. A man needed a new lease on life. Seemed important. "We've been worried sick," he replied. "We." That word hung in the air. "Your mother's there, isn't she?" "My whole family is here," he said carefully. "After what happened yesterday, they wanted to make sure I was okay." I laughed. A genuine, bitter laugh. "You're okay? You stood there and let your mother insult me, demand you divorce me, question my priorities. But you're the one who needs support. You destroyed a priceless family heirloom," he shot back. "It was fabric, Devin. Thread and cloth. Not a person, not a life. It represented something." "Yeah," I said, my voice hardening. "It represented 6 generations of women being controlled by your family's bullshit expectations." He was quiet for a long moment. "Mom wants an apology, of course." I closed my eyes. "And she thinks you should pay to have it restored. There's a woman in Vermont who specializes in." I hung up. He called back immediately. I sent it to voicemail. He called again. I turned off my phone. Then I went upstairs, fell into bed, and slept for 14 hours straight. When I woke up, it was 3 a.m. The house was dark and empty. My stomach growled. I couldn't remember my last meal. I went downstairs and made scrambled eggs, eating them standing at the counter in the dim light from the stove hood. That's when I noticed my wedding photo on the fridge. Devin and me 2 years ago, smiling like idiots, his arm around my waist, my head on his shoulder. Patricia visible in the background, lips pressed into a thin line. I took the photo down and shoved it in a drawer. My phone had 43 new notifications. I scrolled through them with clinical detachment. "Devin, we need to talk about this like adults." "Patricia, your behavior yesterday was unacceptable. Devin deserves better." Devin's father, "Young lady, you owe this family an apology." His grandmother, "In my day, a wife knew her place." His aunt, "Devin's always been too soft. Time someone put their foot down." His cousin, LOL. "Your meltdown is legendary. Mom won't stop talking about it." Only one message truly mattered. From Rachel. "Whenever you're ready to talk, I'm here." I texted her back. "Coffee tomorrow. 8 a.m. I'll be there." I went back to bed, but couldn't sleep. Instead, I lay there thinking about the construction worker whose life I'd saved. Ray. His wife had grabbed my hands in the recovery room, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you," she'd whispered. "Thank you for giving me more time with him." That was what mattered. That gratitude, that relief, that knowledge that my hands, my training, my sacrifice had given someone a second chance. Not stitches on a quilt, not Patricia's approval, not even Devon's love if it came with conditions. Rachel met me at our usual coffee shop. She took one look at my face and ordered 2 large lattes and a chocolate croissant before I could say a word. "You look like death," she said, sliding into the booth across from me. 11-hour surgery followed by marital crisis. "It's been a week. Tell me everything." So I did. The ambush, the quilt, Patricia's ultimatum, Devon's silence, the scissors, all of it. Rachel listened without interrupting, her expression shifting from shock to anger to something like fierce admiration. When I finished, she said, "Good for you." "What?" "I'm serious. I've been waiting 2 years for you to stand up to that woman. She's been undermining you since day one." "Devon loves his family." "Devon enables his family," Rachel corrected, her eyes sharp. "There's a difference. Remember your birthday last year?" I did. Patricia had thrown Devon a surprise party at her house on my birthday. When I'd mentioned it seemed like poor timing, she'd said, "Well, his birthday is only a week away. Easier to celebrate them together." My birthday dinner became an afterthought. "Or your graduation from residency?" Rachel continued. "When Patricia scheduled her garden party for the same day and Devon missed your ceremony. He made it to the reception 2 hours late, smelling like his mother's pot roast." Rachel leaned forward. "Listen to me. You are one of the most talented surgeons I know. You save lives. You work yourself to the bone. And you've spent 2 years trying to earn the approval of a woman who will never give it to you because you're not a Thornwell by blood. You're not part of her precious lineage. She accepted Devon's ex-girlfriend because Brittany was a doormat who would have spent the rest of her life embroidering quilts and producing grandbabies. You're a threat. You're successful, independent, and you don't need the Thornwell name or money." Rachel grabbed my hand. "The question isn't whether you should apologize. It's whether Devon's worth fighting for if he can't see what's happening." I pulled my hand back and wrapped it around my coffee cup. "I love him. I know you do. But does he love you enough to choose you over them?" That was the question, wasn't it? The one I'd been avoiding since I walked out yesterday. My phone buzzed. Another text from Devon. "Can we please talk? Just the 2 of us." I showed Rachel. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me wants to go over there and fight for my marriage. Part of me wants to pack my stuff and leave while he's gone." "What does the surgeon in you say?" I thought about that. In the OR, I made life or death decisions based on evidence. Heart rate, blood pressure, tissue viability. I assessed, I analyzed, and I acted. So, what did the evidence tell me about my marriage? Devon had stood silent while his mother attacked me. He'd prioritized fabric over my career. He'd called his family for support instead of defending his wife. He wanted me to apologize to the woman who demanded our divorce. The evidence was pretty damn clear. "I think," I said slowly, "I need to hear what he has to say, but I'm not apologizing. And I'm not pretending yesterday didn't happen." Rachel nodded. "Good. And if he sides with Patricia, then I guess I'll be hiring a divorce lawyer." Saying it out loud made it real, made it possible, made it terrifying. We finished our coffee and Rachel hugged me hard in the parking lot. "Whatever happens, you've got me. Always." I texted Devon. "Meet me at home in an hour. Just us." He replied immediately. "Thank you. I'll be there." I drove home and showered, washing away the last traces of the OR. Then I changed into jeans and a sweater. Something comfortable. Not armor, not a statement, just clothes. Devon arrived exactly on time. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, hair uncombed. "You look awful," I said. "I haven't slept." "Neither have I." "Well, 14 hours yesterday, but before that, nothing." We stood in the entryway. Neither of us sure how to start. "Do you want coffee?" I asked. "Sure." I made 2 cups. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place we'd had breakfast together 1,000 times. Now it felt like a negotiating table. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "For what specifically?" He blinked. "What?" "I need you to tell me what you're sorry for, because there's a lot to choose from." Devon set down his cup. "I'm sorry for not defending you. For letting Mom say those things, for not telling my family to leave when they showed up unannounced, and for asking you to apologize to her. That was wrong." I waited. "Is there more?" He asked. "The quilt. Devon, you expected me to finish it. Even after I explained why I couldn't. Even after 2 years of watching me work myself to death, you still thought embroidery should be my priority." "It was important to my family," he said defensively. "And I'm your wife. I should be more important than your family's traditions." He ran his hands through his hair. "You don't understand. These traditions, they're who we are. They connect us to our history, our ancestors. The quilt is about belonging." "No," I said, my voice firm. "It's about control. It's about making sure every woman who marries into your family knows her place. That she's not really a Thornwell until she's proven herself through subservience. That's not fair, is it? Your mother literally told you to divorce me because I wouldn't sew. Think about that. Actually, think about it. What kind of family values fabric over love? Devin looked away. She was upset. She didn't mean it. She absolutely meant it. And you know what the worst part is? You had to think about it. When she demanded you choose, you actually had to consider whether your mother's approval was worth more than your marriage. That's not true. Then why didn't you defend me immediately? Why didn't you kick them out of our house? Why did you call them for support instead of calling me? Silence. Because, I continued, you've spent your whole life being a good Thornwell son, following the rules, making mom happy. And when she told you I wasn't good enough, part of you believed her. I don't think you're not good enough, he said. But his voice lacked conviction. Then prove it. Tell your mother she was wrong. Tell her you won't tolerate her disrespecting me. Tell her our marriage isn't up for negotiation. I can't just yes, you can. You choose to enable her. You choose to put her feelings above mine. You choose tradition over partnership. Devin stood up abruptly. So what? I'm just supposed to cut off my family? Never speak to them again. I'm not asking you to cut them off. I'm asking you to set boundaries, to tell your mother she doesn't get to dictate how we live our lives, to prioritize our marriage over her approval. She'll never forgive me. And I'll never forgive you if you don't. We stared at each other across the kitchen table. 2 years of marriage, for years together before that. All of it hanging in the balance over a stupid quilt. I need time, he said finally. Time for what? To think. To figure this out. This is my family. My whole life. I can't just, I'm your family, too, I interrupted. Or at least I thought I was. You are. But it's complicated. It's actually pretty simple. Either you choose us or you choose them. It's not that black and white. Yes, it is. Your mother demanded you divorce me. That makes it pretty damn black and white. Devin grabbed his jacket. I can't do this right now. I need space. Space to what? Call your mother and get her opinion on our marriage. That's not fair. None of this is fair, I said. I destroyed my hands trying to complete that quilt. I gave up sleep, free time, everything to make your family happy, and it still wasn't enough. Nothing I do will ever be enough for Patricia because I'm not who she wanted you to marry. That's not true. Yes, it is. She wanted Brittany, the woman who started the quilt, and actually enjoyed it. Who would have given you 3 kids by now and spent her days volunteering for the Historical Society? Instead, you married a surgeon who saves lives instead of embroidering pillows. And your mother will never forgive you for that choice. Devin's hand was on the doorknob. I need a few days to clear my head. Where are you going? My parents' house. Of course he was. Fine, I said. Take all the time you need. But understand something, Devin. I'm not waiting forever. I'm not going to spend the next 30 years begging for your mother's approval. Either you're my husband or you're Patricia's son. You can't be both. He left without another word. I sat at the kitchen table for 2 hours after he drove away, the silence screaming around me. Then I went to the hospital for my shift. Work was the only thing that made sense anymore. The next 3 days passed in a blur of surgeries and consults. I threw myself into every case with single-minded focus. A 72-year-old woman with a faulty valve. A teenager with a congenital defect. An emergency bypass on a diabetic patient who'd ignored his symptoms for months. I didn't think about Devin. Didn't check my phone except for hospital calls. Didn't let myself feel anything except the steady concentration required to hold a human heart in my hands. On the 4th day, Dr. Chin called me into his office. Sit down, he said. I sat, my stomach churning, wondering if I'd screwed up a procedure, if my personal crisis was finally affecting my performance. Your work this week has been exceptional, he said, surprising me. But I'm worried about you. I'm fine. You've been here 18 hours a day. You're taking every available case. You slept in the on-call room last night even though you weren't on call. I'm dedicated. You're avoiding something. He leaned back in his chair. I've been in this field for 30 years. I've seen brilliant surgeons burn out. Destroy their health, their relationships, their lives because they couldn't face whatever was happening outside these walls. With all due respect, Dr. Chin, my personal life isn't affecting your work. Not yet, but it will. They always do. He pulled out a file. I'm recommending you take a week off. What? No. I have surgery scheduled. Patients who need, they'll be reassigned. Dr. Patel can handle your caseload. I don't need time off. Yes, you do. And if you won't take it voluntarily, I'll make it mandatory. I stared at him. You can't do that. I absolutely can. You're showing signs of burnout and emotional avoidance. As your supervising physician, I'm responsible for your well-being and the safety of our patients. Your work has been perfect, for now, but you're running on fumes and rage. That's not sustainable. He closed the file. Go home, sleep in a real bed, eat actual food, deal with whatever you're running from. Come back in a week refreshed. I wanted to argue, to insist I was fine, but he was right and we both knew it. 1 week, I said. 1 week starting now. I cleaned out my locker and drove home, arriving at 2 p.m. on a Thursday. The house was still empty, still silent, still a monument to a marriage that might be over. I checked my phone. Devin had texted twice. Monday, still processing everything. Hope you're okay. Wednesday, can I come by this weekend to get some clothes? Not, I miss you. Not, I love you. Not, I'm fighting for us. Just logistics. I texted back, I'm off work for a week. Come by whenever. He replied, Saturday morning. Okay, fine. I spent the next 2 days cleaning the house, scrubbing floors until they gleamed, organizing closets, throwing away expired food and ancient condiments. Physical work that exhausted my body and numbed my mind. Friday night, Rachel came over with wine and Thai food. You're off work for a whole week and you spent it cleaning? She looked around at the spotless kitchen. This is either therapeutic or concerning. Therapeutic, I lied. Bullshit. You're spiraling. I'm coping. You're avoiding. She poured 2 generous glasses of wine. Has Devin made a decision yet? He's coming tomorrow to get clothes. I assume that means he's chosen Patricia. You don't know that. He's been at his parents' house for 4 days. That pretty much says everything. Rachel was quiet for a moment. What are you going to do if he asks for a divorce? Sign the papers, I said, my voice steady, though my heart pounded. I'm not fighting for someone who won't fight for me. And if he wants to work things out? That was harder to answer. Then he needs to set real boundaries. Not promises, not good intentions. Actual enforceable boundaries with consequences, such as no more family ambushes, no more Patricia disrespecting me, no more choosing their approval over our marriage. That's reasonable. It's also probably impossible. Devin's been programmed since birth to prioritize family above everything else. I don't think he's capable of change. People surprise you sometimes. Yeah, I said. Usually not in good ways. We drank wine and ate pad thai and watched terrible reality TV until midnight. Then Rachel hugged me goodbye and made me promise to call her after Devin's visit. Saturday morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. despite having nowhere to be. Old habits from residency. I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table waiting. Devin arrived at 9 a.m. sharp. He knocked on his own front door. I let him in. Hey, he said, his voice hesitant. Hey. We stood there awkwardly, like strangers in our own home. I'll just grab some clothes, he said, avoiding my gaze. Won't take long. Take your time. He went upstairs. I heard drawers opening and closing. The sound of a suitcase zipper. When he came back down 20 minutes later, he was carrying 2 large duffel bags. Is that everything you need? I asked. For now. For now. Not, I'm coming back. Not, this is temporary. Just for now. Listen, he said, setting the bags down. I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything. Here it comes, I thought. The divorce speech. And I realize I've been unfair to you, expecting you to fit into my family's expectations without considering what you needed, what you sacrificed. I waited. But I also think you've been unfair to me, refusing to even try with the quilt, cutting it up instead of just talking to me first, embarrassing me in front of my entire family. Embarrassing you? They were humiliated? My mother cried for 2 days straight. I scoffed. Your mother demanded our divorce. I think her tears are a bit performative. See, that's what I mean, he exclaimed, frustrated. You're always so dismissive of my family. Like their feelings don't matter. Their feelings matter, but not more than mine. Not more than our marriage. Everything's always about the marriage with you, about us against them. Why can't it be all of us together? I laughed. Actually laughed. You really don't see it, do you? Your family doesn't want me. They've made that clear from day one. The quilt was just the latest test I was designed to fail. That's paranoid. Is it? Tell me one time your mother has genuinely supported me. One time she celebrated my accomplishments. One time she's chosen my side over hers. Devin was silent. Exactly. Because it's never happened and it never will. To Patricia, I'm the woman who stole her son. The surgeon who thinks she's too good for Thornwell traditions. The she's my mother, Devin interrupted, his voice tight. I can't just cut her out of my life. No one's asking you to. I'm asking you to establish boundaries, to tell her she can't disrespect your wife. 2, she's not disrespecting you. She's trying to preserve our family's heritage by demanding you divorce me. She was upset. People say things when they're upset, and you believe her. You think she didn't mean it. Devin picked up his bags. I think you're making this harder than it needs to be. If you just apologize, just show some humility and respect for what the quilt means, I'm not apologizing. Of course not, because Dr. Morrison is too important to admit when she's wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm a surgeon. I save lives. And I refuse to apologize for prioritizing that over embroidery. It's not about the quilt anymore. It's about you refusing to compromise, to be part of a family. I tried to be part of your family. For 2 years, I smiled and nodded while your mother criticized everything about me. My job, my clothes, my inability to produce grandchildren on her timeline. I bit my tongue during family dinners where I wasn't allowed to speak unless spoken to. I endured holidays where Patricia made it clear I was an outsider. I moved closer, my voice low and fierce. The quilt was the final straw. Not because of the stitching, but because of what it represented, submission, proof that I'd been broken and molded into a proper Thornwell wife. That's not what it represents. Then what does it represent, Devon? Tell me. Because from where I'm standing, it's a test of obedience. And I failed. And your mother wants me gone because of it. He didn't answer. Just stood there holding his bags, looking at the floor. You're not going to choose me, are you? I said quietly, a tremor in my voice. It's not about choosing. Yes, it is. It's always been about choosing, and you've chosen them. I need my family. You have a family right here. Or you did. Devon headed for the door. Maybe we both need more time. Space to think without arguing. I don't need space. I need a husband who values me, who defends me, who doesn't require his mother's permission to love his wife. He opened the door. I'll be in touch. Then he was gone. I stood in the entryway for a long time after his car pulled away, the hollow ache in my chest growing. Then I went upstairs to our bedroom. Our bed was made. His side looked untouched. I lay down on top of the covers, fully dressed, and stared at the ceiling. My phone rang. Rachel. Well, she asked. He left with 2 bags of clothes and 0 intention of fighting for us. Oh, honey, I'm coming over. No, I think I need to be alone for a bit. Call me if you change your mind. I hung up and closed my eyes. Tried to sleep. Couldn't. My mind kept replaying the conversation, looking for the moment where I could have said something different, done something better, saved my marriage. But the truth was, there was no saving it. Not when Devon valued Patricia's approval more than our partnership. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. This is Patricia. We need to talk. Meet me at Rosewood Cafe tomorrow at 10 a.m. I stared at the message, the audacity, the presumption that I'd just show up because she commanded it. I started to type a refusal, then stopped. Maybe it was time to hear what she had to say. Not to apologize, not to grovel, but to set my own boundaries. To tell her exactly what I thought of her and her precious traditions. I texted back, I'll be there. Her reply was immediate. Good. Don't be late. Rosewood Cafe was Patricia's territory. Upscale, expensive, full of women who lunched and gossiped and judged. I arrived at 9:55 a.m. in jeans and a sweater, deliberately casual among the designer dresses and pearl necklaces. Patricia was already seated at a corner table, dressed like she was attending a gala. She looked up as I approached, her expression unreadable. You came, she said. You summoned. Sit down. I've ordered tea. I sat. A server appeared immediately with a pot of Earl Grey and delicate china cups. Patricia poured with practiced elegance, her movements precise and controlled. I'll get straight to the point, she said. I want you to divorce my son. I laughed. Actually laughed. At least you're honest. This isn't a joke. Devon is miserable. He's been miserable since he married you. Funny, he seemed pretty happy until you demanded we divorce over fabric. The quilt represents, I know what it represents. Control, obedience, proof that I've been properly domesticated. Patricia's joy tightened. It represents family, legacy, connection to something larger than yourself. It represents 6 generations of women being bullied into submission. Those women were proud to honor tradition. Were they? Or did they just not have a choice? Patricia set down her teacup with a sharp click. You've always thought you were better than us. Too educated, too accomplished, too important to care about family. I care about family. I just don't care about performative traditions designed to put women in their place. Everything is feminist liberation with your generation. No respect for history. No understanding of sacrifice. I understand sacrifice. I work 60-hour weeks saving lives. I miss holidays. Skip meals. Sleep 4 hours a night. But sure, tell me more about sacrifice while you sip tea in your designer dress. Patricia's face flushed. You're just like your mother. Common, ungrateful, unsuitable. Excuse me. I looked into your background before Devon proposed. Your mother was a waitress. Your father worked construction. You're from a family of nobodies who got lucky with a scholarship. And you're from a family of snobs who think bloodlines matter more than character. They do. Breeding, education, social standing. These things matter. Not to me. That's obvious. Patricia leaned forward, a predator closing in. Devon deserves someone who understands his world. Who can host dinner parties and raise proper children? Who knows which fork to use and how to speak to people of quality? People of quality, I repeated. You mean people with money and connections and the right last name? Yes, exactly. Devon needs a wife who can help him succeed, not some surgeon who puts her career above her husband. I put my career above embroidery. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I sit, you've made it very clear that Devon will always come second to your job. And you've made it very clear that I'll never be good enough for your son, no matter what I do. Patricia smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. At least we understand each other. So this is it? You summoned me here to tell me to leave him. I summoned you here to offer you a deal. I waited. Divorce Devin quietly. No drama, no fighting, no taking half his inheritance. In exchange, I'll give you $200,000. I stared at her. You're trying to buy me off. I'm offering you a fresh start. You clearly don't want to be a Thornwell. This gives you an easy exit. And if I refuse? Then I'll make your life miserable. I have connections. Friends in the medical community, the hospital board. One word from me and your career trajectory could face some unexpected obstacles. You're threatening me. I'm explaining reality. Devin is my son. I will do whatever necessary to protect him from a disastrous marriage. I stood up, pushing my chair back sharply. Go ahead. Make your calls. Pull your strings. But understand something, Patricia. I'm a damn good surgeon. My work speaks for itself. And if you think you can destroy my career because I wouldn't sew your stupid quilt, you're delusional. Sit down. We're not finished. Yes, we are. I'm not divorcing Devin for money, and I'm not letting you bully me into leaving. If my marriage ends, it'll be because your son chose you over me, not because you paid me off. I walked out, leaving her sitting there with her expensive tea and empty threats. My hands were shaking by the time I reached my car, not from fear, but from a white-hot rage. Patricia had shown her true colors. She wasn't a mother protecting her son. She was a social climber protecting her investment. Devin wasn't her child. He was her legacy, her proof of breeding and status. And I was the wrong-class interloper who'd infiltrated her perfect world. I drove straight to Rachel's apartment and pounded on her door until she answered. What happened? She asked, taking one look at my face. I told her everything. The meeting, the bribe, the threats. That bitch, Rachel exclaimed when I finished. She actually tried to pay you off? $200,000? And you told her to shove it. I told her to make her phone calls and see what happens. Rachel poured us both wine even though it was barely noon. What are you going to do? I don't. No. Wait for Devin to make a choice, I guess. Hope Patricia doesn't actually sabotage my career. She won't. She's bluffing. Your reputation is solid. Maybe, but she has connections. Real power in certain circles. So do you. You save lives. You have colleagues who respect you, patients who owe you everything. Rachel raised her glass. Patricia has money and a fancy last name. You have actual value. We drank to that, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the conversation with Patricia. Her smug certainty, her casual cruelty, the way she'd looked at me like I was something stuck to her shoe. At 2 a.m., my phone rang. Hospital. Dr. Morrison, we have an emergency. Multi-car accident on the interstate. Multiple casualties. All hands on deck. I'm on mandatory leave. Dr. Chin approved your return for emergencies. We need you. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I drove to the hospital, running red lights. The ER was chaos. Paramedics rushing, nurses shouting, blood everywhere. Triage had already sorted the victims. The most critical was a teenage girl with massive internal bleeding, collapsed lung, probable liver laceration, maybe 20 minutes before she bled out. OR2 is ready, a nurse said. Dr. Patel is scrubbing in. I'll assist, I said, and went to scrub. We worked for 6 hours. The girl was 16, honor student, volleyball captain, heading home from a tournament when a drunk driver crossed the median and hit her family's car head-on. Her parents were in OR1, her little brother in OR3. The liver was worse than imaging had shown. We worked fast, repairing tears, cauterizing bleeders, removing destroyed tissue. Her pressure kept dropping. We transfused 6 units of blood, then 8, then 12. We're losing her, Dr. Patel said, his voice grim. No, we're not. I found the main bleeder, a torn hepatic artery buried deep in damaged tissue. My hands moved on instinct, clamping, suturing, stopping the hemorrhage. Her pressure stabilized, her heart rate normalized. We closed her up at 8 a.m. In the scrub room afterward, Dr. Patel looked at me, a rare admiration in his eyes. That was incredible work. Team effort. No, that save was all you. The way you found that bleeder. He shook his head. Most surgeons would have given up. I don't give up. I checked on the girl in recovery, still sedated, still critical, but alive. Her parents had both survived with minor injuries. Her brother had a broken arm and concussion. All 4 would go home eventually because we'd done our jobs. Because our hands had held steady. Because nothing else mattered when someone's life was at stake. I was leaving the hospital when I ran into Dr. Chin. I thought you were on leave, he said. Emergency recall. The girl with the liver laceration. I heard it was touch and go. She'll make it because of you. He studied my face. How are you doing, really? I'm okay. Better, actually. Weird how saving a life puts everything in perspective. That's why we do this job. He paused. I got a strange call yesterday from Patricia Thornwell. My stomach dropped. What did she want? To express concerns about your emotional stability. Said you'd been under tremendous stress. Suggested perhaps you needed extended leave. I'm fine. I know you are. I've supervised you for 3 years. I know your work, your character, your competence. He met my eyes. I told Mrs. Thornwell that your professional performance has been exemplary and any decisions regarding your schedule would be made based on medical assessment, not outside influence. Thank you. She also implied she might speak to board members, friends in high places. I know. She threatened me yesterday. Then let me be clear. The board trusts my judgment. Your position here is secure. Patricia Thornwell can call whoever she wants. I felt tears prick my eyes, tears of sheer relief. I appreciate that. Go home. Get some real rest. Come back Monday for your regular shift. I nodded and left. In my car, I finally let myself cry. Not from sadness, but from relief, from exhaustion, from the powerful realization that I had people in my corner, people who valued my work over social connections. Patricia's threats were empty. Her power was limited. And I was going to be okay. I went home and slept for 12 hours. When I woke up, Devin had texted. Mom said you two met. Said it didn't go well. I texted back. She offered me $200,000 to divorce you quietly. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally she wet. You heard me. $200,000 to walk away with no drama. I didn't know she was going to do that. Didn't you? She's been trying to get rid of me since day one. She's just protective. She's just controlling. There's a difference. What did you tell her? To go to hell, basically. More dots. We need to talk in person. Okay. When? Tonight. I can come by after work. Fine. I spent the day cleaning again. Anxious energy, needing an outlet. By 6 p.m., the house was spotless and I was exhausted. Devin arrived at 7 p.m. He looked different, thinner, older, tired. Hey, he said. Hey. We sat in the living room this time, not the kitchen. Neutral territory. I confronted my mother about the bribe, he said, his voice strained. She admitted it. Said she was trying to help, to give you an easy out since you clearly don't want to be part of our family. And what did you say? I told her she had no right, that our marriage is our business. Did you? Or did you say, Mom, I wish you hadn't done that, and then let her justify it? He looked away. She thinks she's protecting me. From what? A wife who loves you, who works hard and contributes to society. From a wife who destroyed a priceless family heirloom and refuses to apologize. There it was. The real issue. Not the bribe. Not Patricia's interference. The damned quilt. I can't believe we're still talking about this. I said. Because you won't acknowledge what you did was wrong. It wasn't wrong. It was necessary. Your mother ambushed me, insulted my career, demanded you divorce me. I reacted by destroying something irreplaceable. It was fabric. It was history. 6 generations of women being controlled by your family's expectations. I know you've said. Devin stood up and paced. Why can't you just say you're sorry? Just humble yourself for 1 second and admit you overreacted. Because I didn't overreact. I reacted appropriately to being attacked in my own home. My family isn't attacking you. They're trying to include you, to make you part of our traditions by demanding I prove myself through embroidery. Yes. Is that so terrible? One tradition, one gesture of respect. I showed respect for 2 years. I attended every family dinner, every holiday gathering, every charity function. I smiled while your mother criticized my clothes, my career, my decision to wait on children. I bit my tongue when she rearranged our wedding because her preferences mattered more than mine. I tried to be a good Thornwell wife, but you won't do the one thing that actually matters. The quilt doesn't matter, Devin. Your mother's approval doesn't matter. What matters is that you're supposed to be my partner, my husband, the person who chooses me when everyone else is against me. I'm not against you. Then where have you been? Because it's been a week and you've spent it at your mother's house, accepting her version of events, believing her lies about me. She's not lying. She tried to bribe me to leave you. She threatened my career. She called me common and unsuitable. But sure, she's not lying. Devin sat back down, head in his hands. I don't know what to do. I love you, but I love my family too. Then choose. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Either you set boundaries with your mother and commit to our marriage, or you don't. Either I'm your priority, or she is. Why does it have to be one or the other? Because she made it that way. When she demanded you divorce me, when she offered me money to leave, when she made it clear I'll never be good enough. I moved closer to him. I'm done competing for your affection. Done begging for your defense. Done pretending Patricia will ever accept me. So, what are you saying? I'm saying if you can't stand up to your mother, then maybe she's right. Maybe we should get divorced. The words hung in the air between us. Final, irrevocable. Devin looked at me with tears in his eyes. You mean that? I do. Because I deserve a partner who fights for me, who values me, who doesn't require his mother's permission to love his wife. I don't need her permission. Then prove it. Tomorrow, we're having dinner with your family. You're going to tell them they need to respect me, that you won't tolerate Patricia's interference, that our marriage isn't up for debate. I can't just yes, you can. Or you can pack the rest of your things and move back into your childhood bedroom permanently. That's not fair. None of this is fair, but it's where we are. Devin stood up. I need to think. No more thinking. No more time. No more running to mommy for guidance. You decide right now. Me or her. I can't. Then we're done. I walked to the front door and opened it. Goodbye, Devin. He stared at me shocked. You're serious? Completely? Just like that, you're giving up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm refusing to fight a battle you won't help me win. I'm choosing my self-respect over your family's approval. I'm done. Devin walked to the door, paused. I love you. I love you too. But that's not enough anymore. He left. I closed the door and leaned against it, waiting for tears that didn't come. Just numbness. Just the hollow feeling of watching something die. My phone rang. Rachel. Well, she asked. I think I just ended my marriage. Oh, honey, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. She arrived 20 minutes later with ice cream and chocolate and every rom-com in her Netflix queue. We watched Hugh Grant stammer through declarations of love while I ate Ben and Jerry straight from the container. You did the right thing, Rachel said during our third movie. Did I? Maybe I should have compromised. Tried harder, been more patient. You've been patient for 2 years. How much more should you give? I don't know. However much it takes to save my marriage. That's not how it works. Relationships require both people to compromise. You've been the only one bending. He loves me though. I know he does. But he loves his mother's approval more. And until that changes, you'll always come second. We fell asleep on the couch sometime after midnight. When I woke up at 6 a.m., Rachel was gone, but had left a note. Called in sick for you today. Rest, eat, breathe, call me later. I stayed in bed until noon, then forced myself to shower, to eat something, to function like a human being. My phone buzzed. Devin. I told my family we need to talk tonight at 6 o'clock. Their house. Will you come? My first instinct was to refuse, to protect myself from more humiliation, but something made me type, I'll be there. Thank you. I spent the rest of the day preparing, not physically, but mentally. Building walls, expecting the worst, ready to hear that Devin had chosen them over me. At 5:45 p.m., I drove to the Thornwell estate. A massive house on 3 acres, pool, tennis court, guest house, everything Patricia loved to show off. Devin met me at the door. Thank you for coming. Is your whole family here? Just my parents and grandmother. Great. The holy trinity of judgment. We walked into the formal dining room. Patricia sat at the head of the table, regal as a queen. Devin's father beside her, expression unreadable. His grandmother in the corner, clutching her purse like I might steal it. Sit down, Patricia said. I sat. Devin sat beside me. His hand found mine under the table and squeezed. I'm glad we could all gather, Patricia began. There are some things that need to be said. Here it comes. The final ultimatum. But Devin spoke first. Actually, Mom, I have something to say. Patricia raised an eyebrow. Go ahead. Devin took a deep breath. I've spent the last week thinking about everything that's happened. The quilt, the fighting, your offer to pay her to leave. I was trying to help. Patricia interjected, her voice sharp. You were trying to control my life, like you always do. Silence. Patricia's face went white. Devin, his father started, a warning in his voice. No, Dad. I need to say this. Devin turned to his mother. I love you. You're my mother, and I always will be. But the way you've treated my wife is unacceptable. I've been nothing but welcoming. You've been critical and condescending since the day we got engaged. You've questioned her career, her priorities, her worth. And when she couldn't complete the quilt because she was saving lives, you demanded I divorce her. That quilt represents, I don't care what it represents. It's a piece of fabric. She's my wife. I squeezed his hand. He squeezed back. Then she destroyed it. Patricia said deliberately, maliciously. After you ambushed her in her own home, after you insulted her career, after you told me to end our marriage, Devin's voice was steady, strong. She reacted to being attacked. And I should have defended her then. I should have kicked you out immediately. We're your family, his grandmother said, her voice thin with outrage. Your blood. So is she. She's the family I chose. The person I promised to build a life with, and I've been failing her by putting your feelings above hers. Patricia stood up. I won't be spoken to this way. Not in my own home. Then I'll leave. Devin stood too. But understand something first. My marriage isn't up for negotiation. My wife doesn't need your approval. And if you continue to disrespect her, you'll lose me too. You don't mean that, Patricia said, but her voice shook. I absolutely mean it. I've spent 32 years being the good son, following your rules, living up to your expectations. But I'm married now. My wife comes first. Not tradition, not family pressure, not your approval. His father finally spoke, his face pale. Your mother was only trying to control us. To mold my wife into someone she's not. To preserve traditions that don't matter anymore. They matter to this family, his grandmother insisted. Then this family needs to evolve or I won't be part of it. We left. Just walked out, with Patricia sputtering protests and his father trying, unsuccessfully, to mediate. Devin held my hand the entire way to the car. I'm sorry, he said when we were safely outside. I should have done that years ago. You did it now. That's what matters. I mean it. You come first always, no matter what my mother says or does. And if she cuts you off, disinherits you, refuses to speak to you, then I'll survive. We'll survive together. I kissed him right there in his parents' driveway. A long, deep kiss that said everything I couldn't put into words. Let's go home, I said. Our home. Yes, our home. We drove back to the house together, started unpacking his things from the guest room, made dinner together for the first time in weeks. It felt like a new beginning. But 2 days later, Patricia played her final card. I was at work when hospital administration called me in. My stomach dropped. This couldn't be good. Dr. Morrison, the director, said, his voice stiff. We've received some concerning complaints. From whom? Patricia Thornwell. She's on the hospital board. Of course she was. What kind of complaints? She's raised questions about your emotional stability, your ability to handle stress, your professional judgment. Based on what evidence? She claims you've been experiencing marital difficulties that have affected your performance. My performance has been exemplary. Ask Dr. Chin. We did. He vouched for you completely. But Mrs. Thornwell has significant influence. She's suggesting a psychiatric evaluation before you return to full surgical duties. I felt ice in my veins. She's trying to destroy my career because I wouldn't sew her quilt. I'm sorry. I explained everything. The quilt, the family pressure, the bribe, the confrontation. The director listened carefully. That's quite a situation. She's retaliating, abusing her position on the board to punish me for not leaving her son. I believe you, but I still have to follow procedure. The board requires an evaluation. Fine. Schedule it. I'll pass with flying colors, and this will be documented as harassment. I'll note your objection in the file. I left his office shaking with rage. Patricia had gone nuclear, weaponizing her connections to sabotage my career. I called Devin immediately. Your mother is trying to get me fired. What? I explained about the psychiatric evaluation, the board complaints, the abuse of her position. I'll call her right now. Don't. Let her do her worst. I'll pass the evaluation, and then we'll have proof she's harassing me. This is my fault. I should have handled her better. You handled her fine. She's just refusing to accept it. That night, Devin got a call from his father. I listened to his side of the conversation. Yes, I know she filed complaints. No, I'm not asking her to withdraw them because she's wrong. My wife's career isn't her business. I don't care about the inheritance. Then do it. Cut me off. I choose her. He hung up and looked at me, his face pale but resolute. My father says if I don't convince you to leave voluntarily, they're disowning me. Devin, I told him to do it. I don't want their money if it comes with strings attached to your career. Your whole inheritance means nothing compared to you. I'd rather be broke with you than rich without you. I kissed him, my heart overflowing. I love you. I love you too, and we're going to get through this. The psychiatric evaluation was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, I was placed on temporary administrative leave. Not suspended, not fired, just sidelined while they investigated. Dr. Chin was furious. This is political nonsense. Your work is impeccable. I know, but I have to play their game. For what it's worth, I'm documenting everything. If this ends badly, I'll resign in protest. Don't do that. You're too valuable here. So are you. The evaluation took 4 hours. Psychological tests, interviews, questions about stress management, and emotional regulation. I answered everything honestly, calmly, professionally. The psychiatrist was a woman in her 60s who'd probably evaluated thousands of medical professionals. Dr. Morrison, she said at the end, a twinkle in her eye. Your responses indicate excellent mental health, strong coping mechanisms, appropriate emotional boundaries. I see no evidence of instability or impaired judgment. So I can return to work? I'm recommending full reinstatement with no restrictions. And between you and me, she leaned forward conspiratorially. I've met Patricia Thornwell, and I'd have cut up the quilt, too. I laughed. Actually laughed. These board games are exhausting, she continued. But you played it right. Stayed professional. Let the work speak for itself. I returned to my shift the next day. Several colleagues welcomed me back with sympathy and support. Apparently, hospital gossip had spread the whole story. I was now the surgeon who'd stood up to the infamous Patricia Thornwell. Some saw me as brave. Some saw me as foolish. But everyone respected that I'd survived. 2 weeks later, Patricia resigned from the hospital board. No explanation, no announcement, just a quiet removal from the roster. Devon's father called to arrange a meeting. We agreed to meet at a neutral location. They arrived looking uncomfortable. His father spoke first. "We've been unfair to you." I waited. Patricia has issues with control, with letting go of our children, with accepting that Devon's life isn't hers to manage. He looked genuinely apologetic. "We've decided to attend family therapy, to work on boundaries, to try to repair the damage." "That's good," I said cautiously. "We'd like you both to join us. Not as participants in our therapy, but to help us understand your perspective." Devon looked at me. "What do you think?" "I think if your parents are willing to do the work, we should support that. But I won't be ambushed again. No more surprise confrontations." "Agreed," his father said. "Everything will be scheduled in advance with a therapist present." "And the inheritance?" I asked. "Still yours?" We were angry and said things we didn't mean. Devon shook his head. "I don't want it if it comes with expectations." "No expectations. Just the hope that someday we can be a real family." We agreed to try. The first therapy session was awkward. Patricia sat rigid, barely speaking. But by the third session, she was starting to open up. "I was afraid of losing him," she admitted, her voice soft and vulnerable. "Devon is my only son, my baby. And when he married someone so independent, so successful, I felt unnecessary. I never wanted to replace you," I said gently. "I just wanted to be his partner. I know that now, but I saw you as a threat, someone who might take him away from the family. I only want to build a life with him. That doesn't mean excluding you." It took months, lots of sessions, lots of difficult conversations. But slowly, Patricia began to see me as a person rather than a threat. She apologized, truly apologized, for the quilt demand, for the bribe, for the career sabotage. "I was cruel," she said, her eyes meeting mine, "and wrong. You're an exceptional person. You save lives. You love my son. And I should have celebrated that instead of trying to destroy it." "Thank you," I said, a warmth spreading through me. We'd never be best friends, never have the mother-daughter relationship some women enjoyed, but we found a way to coexist peacefully. She even attended one of my surgeries, stood in the observation gallery, and watched me perform a complex valve replacement. Afterward, she hugged me. "I understand now," she whispered, "why you couldn't do the quilt. Your hands save lives. They're too important to waste on embroidery." That Christmas, Patricia gave me a gift. Not fabric, not a quilt pattern. A donation to the hospital's cardiac research fund in my name. For the surgeon who taught me what really matters. The card read, "Devon and I renewed our vows on our 3rd anniversary." A small ceremony, just close friends and family. Patricia attended with genuine happiness. No ulterior motives, no hidden agendas, just a mother celebrating her son's marriage. During the reception, she pulled me aside. "I have something for you," she said. She handed me a small box. Inside was a silver necklace. Delicate, simple, beautiful. It belonged to Devon's great-great-grandmother, the first woman to complete the quilt tradition. Patricia's eyes were wet. "But I think she'd want you to have it. Not because you completed the quilt. Because you showed me that love doesn't require submission." I hugged her. "Thank you." "No, thank you for loving my son. For standing your ground, for being exactly who you are." That night, Devon and I danced under string lights while our families mingled peacefully. His mother laughed at something Rachel said. His father discussed investing with my brother. His grandmother actually complimented my dress. "We made it," Devon whispered, pulling me close. "We did. Think we'll ever tell our kids about the quilt incident?" I mused. "Absolutely," he replied, a grin spreading across his face. "It'll be a great lesson in standing up for yourself, and in choosing your partner over family pressure, and in the fact that some traditions deserve to die." He laughed and spun me around. 5 years later, I became head of cardiac surgery. The youngest person to ever hold the position at our hospital. Patricia threw me a celebration dinner and invited half the medical community. She introduced me to everyone as my brilliant daughter-in-law, the surgeon. Not Thornwell wife, not disappointing daughter-in-law, just surgeon. It was enough. 10 years later, when Devon and I finally had kids, Patricia was the first to visit. She brought toys and books and endless enthusiasm, but no pressure, no demands, no expectations about traditions or quilts or anything else. She was just a grandmother, excited to meet her grandchild. Our daughter's name is Rachel. After my best friend, who'd stood by me through everything. Patricia didn't even suggest a family name, just cooed over the baby and promised to babysit whenever we needed. One night after putting Rachel to bed, I found Devon in the nursery. "What are you thinking about?" I asked. "That quilt," he said quietly. How close we came to losing everything over fabric. It wasn't about the fabric, I reminded him. "I know. It was about control, about me learning to be a husband instead of just a son. You figured it out eventually. Thanks to you refusing to back down. I sat beside him. I think about that day a lot. Walking out of the hospital, wondering if my marriage would survive, not knowing if you'd choose me. I almost didn't, he admitted, his voice raw. I was so conditioned to put family first, to value tradition, to seek approval. What changed? I realized you are my family, my tradition. The only approval I needed was yours. We sat in silence, watching our daughter sleep. Do you regret it? He asked. The fight, the drama, the almost divorce? No, I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. Because it made us stronger. Made us real partners instead of two people living parallel lives. Mom asked me the other day if I ever wish you'd done the quilt. What did you tell her? That I'm glad you didn't. Because if you had, I never would have learned what really matters. I would have stayed a child pretending to be a husband. I squeezed his hand. Besides, he continued, our daughter's going to grow up knowing she doesn't have to do anything to prove her worth. She'll know her value comes from who she is, not what traditions she follows. No embroidery requirements? God, no. She can be a surgeon like her mom, an engineer, an artist, anything she wants. He paused, then added, even if she wants to be a quilter. He laughed. Especially if she wants to be a quilter, because it'll be her choice, not an obligation. Years later, when Rachel was 16, she asked about the quilt story. We told her everything. The pressure, the cutting, the near divorce, the reconciliation. So, Grandma Patricia tried to make you do embroidery or she'd make Dad divorce you? She asked, incredulous. Essentially, yes. That's insane. It was a different time, Devin said diplomatically. It was 10 years ago, Dad, not the Middle Ages. I laughed. You're right. It was insane. But your grandmother has grown a lot since then. Still, I can't imagine being forced to do something like that to prove I'm worthy of being in a family. You'll never have to, I promised. Your worth isn't conditional. Not on traditions, not on anyone's approval. You're valuable because you exist. She hugged me. Thanks, Mom, for standing up for yourself. For showing me I can do the same. That moment made everything worth it. The fights, the tears, the uncertainty. All of it had led to raising a daughter who knew her own value. Patricia passed away when Rachel was 20. Cancer. Swift and merciless, despite the best medical care. We were with her at the end. Devin holding one hand, me holding the other. Thank you, she whispered in her final hours. For teaching me what love really means. Rest now, I said. We've got it from here. She smiled and closed her eyes. At her funeral, dozens of women spoke about her charity work, her social contributions, her dedication to preserving history. They talked about the quilts she'd made, the traditions she'd upheld, the legacy she'd left. But when it was my turn to speak, I talked about the woman who'd learned to change, who'd admitted her mistakes, who'd chosen growth over pride. Patricia Thornwell was a formidable woman, I said, my voice strong. Strong-willed, opinionated, uncompromising in her beliefs. Until she learned that real strength comes from flexibility. Real power comes from admitting when you're wrong. Real love means accepting people as they are, not as you want them to be. I looked at Devin, at Rachel, at the family we'd built despite the odds. She gave me the greatest gift, I continued, not fabric or jewelry or money. She gave me the gift of seeing someone change, of watching pride transform into humility, of witnessing a mother learn that her son's happiness mattered more than her expectations. After the service, we went home, just the three of us. Devin opened a bottle of wine. Rachel made her grandmother's favorite cookies from the recipe Patricia had taught her. We sat together, remembering not the fights, not the drama, but the reconciliation, the growth, the family we'd become. Do you think she was happy? Rachel asked at the end. I think so, I said. She got to see you grow up, got to make peace with us, got to understand that love doesn't require control. I'm glad you cut up the quilt, Rachel said suddenly. Devin and I stared at her. Really? Yeah, because if you hadn't, Grandma never would have learned. Dad never would have grown up. And I never would have seen what real marriage looks like. Devin and I looked at each other, a shared understanding passing between us. I guess something good came from it after all, he said. More than something, I corrected. Everything. Everything we are now started with that moment when I chose myself. When you chose us. When we both decided that love means partnership, not submission. Rachel raised her glass to the quilt that never was. We toasted to fabric that became a catalyst. To traditions that evolved. To families that grew. To love that survived. I'd save thousands more lives in my career, would become a mentor to young surgeons, would publish research and teach at conferences, and push the boundaries of cardiac medicine. But none of that would matter as much as this moment, sitting on my porch with my husband, listening to my daughter play piano, knowing that we'd built something real through sheer determination and love. The quilt tradition died with Patricia. No one demanded it of Rachel. No one would demand it of her daughters if she chose to have children. The cycle was broken. The control was ended. And in its place was something better, something real, something earned through fire and choice, and the refusal to submit. "I love you, Devin," I whispered. "I love you too." He leaned against me, and I leaned into him, grateful for the journey, the fights, the growth, the love that had survived everything.